Hey guys, this is Fear Dragon coming at you with another beautiful cast. Today we're going to have omegaman, the Red Terran, and actually submitter of this replay. Looks like we were on normal, but he's going to be spawning up here in the top right-hand corner, and his opponent in the bottom left-hand corner. We're going to have the Blue Zerg, TeamKiller. And it looks like because he does not have a team to kill today, he is in fact doing a 1 versus 1. He's just going to go ahead and kill the Red Terran player over here in the top right hand corner. That is if he can. But anyways, this replay was actually submitted by omegaman. So thank you omegaman for submitting this. Right now I'm actually deciding to record this cast in Fraps instead of XSplit because I think there was some issues. Some people were saying that there was a little bit of lag happening. So if you were wondering why there is in fact no little Fear Dragon logo right over here where the replay timer is, that's why I don't actually have the technology right now to do that with Fraps. So yeah, I guess you guys get to just view the regular old screen, but it's going to be in beautiful 1080p. Oh my god. Anyways, that's enough yammering for me. It looks like we do have the barracks going down, and at the same time, we do have the extractor going down. So this is actually a very interesting decision from TeamKiller, as that extractor does imply that, yes, he is going to go ahead and go for that spawning pool. And pretty early, as you can see here, it is about 13 supply for the Zerg player. So a very, very early extractor and pool. Now, usually, I'm not entirely sure about the timings for this, but if you start your extractor just a little bit before your spawning pool and you start mining out of it immediately, you should have exactly 100 gas when your spawning pool finally completes. So he will be able to start speed researching immediately after the spawning pool completes if his timing was dead on. And I think that's probably what he was aiming for, and likely after that he would try and take his drones off of that gas so that he can use them to mine more minerals. Meanwhile, we see the very standard wall off coming from omegaman around the right time. Now actually already has one refinery going for that second refinery. So it's going to be interesting to see what he's deciding to go for. Likely a tech play, and wouldn't be too surprised if we saw some kind of banshee play or something. We do see a couple of marines coming out. We're going to see if he's going to... There's the factory coming down, so it's looking more and more likely that this is in fact going to be a Banshee play from omegaman. We're going to have to see if TeamKiller is going to be able to respond. Right now, he does have that spawning pool, and again, as I was saying before, he did stop mining that gas as soon as he had 100 and started researching that speed. We're going to have to see what he can do with this speed, as right now I do believe he doesn't really have any Zerglings. Yeah, we can see over here in the Union Counting Station, there are in fact no Zerglings. So a very interesting decision. Maybe planning to do some kind of big push, and I'm really surprised from TeamKiller as he has not decided to take an expansion. He definitely has the money to. So we're going to see what he decides to do. We do see this little scouting drone from TeamKiller. He does manage to spot at least a little bit of what is going on in omegaman's base. Now he's going to go ahead and hide over here, maybe trying to hope that he will in fact see when there is an expansion going down. We see 2 starports going down and a tech lab already being produced from that factory. This is going to be the very glorious 2-port Banshee that actually isn't done nearly as much as I think it should. 2-port Banshee, a very strong build from way back in the day, almost back into the beta, where you would just get 2 starports and get tech labs on both of them, start making Banshees out of 2 starports. You get Cloak as well, and it's this very, very all-in-ish build, but we're going to have to see if he can do enough damage. It is possible to transition out of it. So we do see this factory going ahead and building that second tech lab. As I was saying, wouldn't be at all surprised to see Cloak coming from this. And we're going to see the tech lab is there. He does not have the gas for it quite yet. Well, actually, he should have the gas for a Banshee at least. And anyways, in the meanwhile, we do see the Zerg finally taking that expansion after getting a Roach Warren. But you know, a Roach cannot in fact shoot up to deal with those Banshees. So we're going to have to see if TeamKiller is going to be able to produce enough units to either immediately kill omegaman, or if he can actually just get up the defense to deal with the incoming Banshees. And we do see Cloak is on the way, so this is going to be a very, very scary push from omegaman. TeamKiller does not have Lair on the way, and I feel that if he does not start it very, very soon, he's in fact not going to have Lair to create those Overseers to deal with the Banshees anyways, or at least in time. And I also feel that if TeamKiller doesn't put on some pressure very, very soon, he's actually just not going to be able to go ahead and do much damage. As we can see, the first Banshee's already popping out. And, you know, these two Banshees would have already put a big timer on TeamKiller's ability to do any damage. As these roaches cannot shoot up, they would slowly get picked off by those Banshees. Meanwhile, it looks like omegaman deciding to just kind of group up his Banshees. He's going to wait for a couple more and kind of go for the, hey, surprise, I have a ton of Banshees with Cloak. So what are you going to do about it? And actually going for that expansion, I do kind of like this play just in case his opponent is in fact already prepared. Although we do see his opponent is completely unprepared. Now just starting that lair, does not have an evolution chamber on the way that would allow him to build those spore crawlers to deal with the Banshees. So it looks like omegaman not really having vision of any of that, actually not even having vision of his opponent quite yet, is just going to go ahead and accumulate some of these Banshees and say, you know what, just in case, I'm going to go ahead and expand off this. I'm going to use these Banshees for map control. And map control, that will definitely give him. I do not foresee omegaman dying to any big all-ins anytime in the near future, although I do think that just blindly having only these Banshees, not really seeing what his opponent has, he's going to have to be careful of Mutalisk if he ever tries this build in any other games. But forget about Mutalisk, there is no Mutalisk on this map, and there are roaches. There are actually quite a few roaches, but I still feel that omegaman has quite a few Banshees, and he will be able to deal with this just fine. These roaches going to slowly crawl their way across the map over to omegaman's base. We're going to see how much damage these roaches can do. And it looks like we do see an influx of drones behind the roaches while the Galileo reconstitution is going on, as well as the burrow. So TeamKiller not really intending to use this as an all-in tactic, just trying to do some damage. And here's going to walk up. He's going to be able to snipe off the supply depot, as it looks like the Banshees are completely out of position. So I would like to see some of those Banshees come back, maybe at least one or two, deal with these roaches, as it would put a timer on this push. But we do see a siege tank out. The siege tank should be able to do massive amounts of damage to these roaches, but he has to be very careful not to lose his siege tank. This siege tank right now is going to be his lifeline, as he's not actually producing any more Banshees. I feel like that's a huge blunder. The siege tank is actually getting focus fire down. The siege tank goes down, and meanwhile the Banshees are going to start coming in. They're going to be able to do huge amounts of damage, but at the same time the barracks is starting to get picked off, and that's going to cause some huge problems with creating any more factories to produce any siege tanks out. As soon as this barracks goes down, I wouldn't be too surprised to see the next factory and the starport being targeted down. But it looks like omegaman just deciding, you know what, hey, I can play the base trade game. I have air units, so I can come back and clean up your roaches whenever I want. He's going to go ahead and snipe off the entire base of TeamKiller. He's going to go for the spawning pool. Wouldn't be too surprised if he went for the roaches or roach warren right afterwards, just to stop any unit production. But at the same time, oh no, the command center is getting target fired down. Now he does have quite a bit of a bank, so we will be able to reproduce this command center as long as he keeps at least a couple of SCVs alive. Oh, actually we do see a command center over in the bottom right hand corner that did lift off, and it is going to save omegaman a lot of pain and trouble from having to recreate that command center. But at the same time, it looks like the Spire getting sniped, the infestation pit getting sniped. Now all that's left are a couple of drones being completely idle and a hatchery going up in the top left-hand corner. This game is looking very, very grim for TeamKiller, as he, you know what, he didn't have his teammates to kill off. So he's going to have to try and deal with the fact that he does not even have a base anymore. He's just going to have this lonely little expansion. But it looks like at the same time, omegaman, not really knowing about that liftoff ability for all the Terran buildings, is going to let all of his buildings get picked off, unfortunately. But it looks like, ooh, I do like this play from TeamKiller. although he hasn't been really making the best decisions for the rest of the game, he is going for these two expansions very, very far apart. So what that's going to do is try and split up omegaman's ability to really snipe off any of these expansions until he really gets a chance to scout them, as well as force omegaman to really split up his units, and that will buy TeamKiller a little bit more time. He does need to make sure that he does a good job. Oh, actually, oh no, did all of TeamKiller's drones get picked off except for just a few? Oh no, TeamKiller down to just 8 drones and these roaches. These roaches do have burrows, so they will be able to hide a little bit from these banshees if it comes to that. But he needs to find this expansion down here in the bottom right hand corner. And the banshees and the roaches just barely whiffing each other. Just not really getting the chance to scout him, and I have to say that was a little bit unfortunate for omegaman, but I think omegaman is still in a very good position to win this, and definitely my favorite to win this at this point in time. We do see the spawning pool coming back up for TeamKiller, so he's going to slowly start to rebuild across the map with these 3 bases. Now he does also have this creep tumor, so I would actually like to see him. Ooh, an evolution chamber. That's going to become very, very handy in just a little bit when he can use those to build spore crawlers. But he can use this creep tumor to get a little bit of map control and just see what's going on around the map, and maybe spot for these banshees, which currently are spotted for and accounted for. They are in fact picking off that hatchery that did not in fact get a cancel. The roaches coming in, not sure what they're planning to do. Maybe try and hold off the banshees by just soaking up damage, but I don't really like that play, as these roaches really should be going around and scouting for this base. I think that TeamKiller might actually believe that maybe omegaman just has a command center lifted off in the corner of the map or something, and that's going to really cause him a lot of issues if he's not careful. Now we do see a second evolution chamber, very smart play, knowing that that evolution chamber is very, very important, and he does not want to let that get sniped. So he did go ahead and build 2 evolution chambers. Now these evolution chambers are going to be able to deal a little bit of damage to these banshees, which can actually be repaired if omegaman does remember to repair them. But oh no, omegaman actually not keeping track of his banshees, losing quite a few, and actually being also not the greatest target fires going down. Now starting to target fire down the spore crawlers, but instead was target firing down the hatchery. He did find a nice little safe zone where he can target fire down this hatchery. And the roaches again coming in, maybe to soak up a little bit of damage as this spore crawler tries to burrow. This actually doing a wonderful job soaking up that damage. The spore crawler now burrowing, taking out another banshee. I think that we're down from 6 banshees down to 2. So that's a huge blow to omegaman's army, but it looks like omegaman is already rebuilding quite a bit. He does have that starport. Now he's going to go ahead and get that tech lab, so he will be able to produce more banshees. And you know, I think that omegaman can really safely actually just go ahead and start looking around for other expansions. He is going to try and do a little bit of damage to these roaches, but you know, these buildings will in fact start dying off of the creep, as there is no creep tumor or hatchery to really keep the creep here. We can already see the creep starting to rescind, and that's just going to put a big timer on how much TeamKiller can actually do. TeamKiller is starting to mine down here in the bottom right hand corner, and actually this other corner of the bottom right hand side. He does have another expansion up, so right in between omegaman, who funnily enough does not see TeamKiller, and you know, TeamKiller doesn't actually know where omegaman is, so a little bit of a funny situation going on there. We do see omegaman starting to pick off that evolution chamber, and this hatchery trying to go up to save these buildings that will inevitably fall without the creep. But omegaman doing the smart play, picking off this evolution chamber. He does not know that there is in fact a second evolution chamber just barely on the creep down here at the old natural expansion of TeamKiller. But I think it's still a wise decision to do this. Now we do see the drone count slowly starting to go up, and oh my god! The SCV from omegaman scouted one of the bases from TeamKiller. TeamKiller needs absolutely every base, and oh no! Actually, omegaman's about to scout the next base, as he has a command center set to build over here, but he's going to go ahead and scout both of the remaining bases of TeamKiller, and that's going to spell disaster for TeamKiller. He's not going to really have any mineable expansions up, so now it's going to be up to omegaman to start using these Banshees to pick off those other bases. This hatchery will go up, but these Spore Crawlers are going to be very low on health. They've already lost quite a bit of health. They will stay alive now that... Oh, actually, hold that thought. The Roaches finally finding omegaman's base, and they will use that burrow to try and regenerate a little bit of health right before they go in to pick off the siege tank. Now, omegaman does need to bring these Banshees back. Now that the Banshees are back, oh my god, that's quite a few Banshees. 6 Banshees will be able to pick apart all of these Roaches. Now, he does have quite a bit of energy saved up for scans as well. Now, he's going to start to pick off quite a few Roaches. Those Roaches, last remaining advantage, or at least chance for a comeback that TeamKiller has, although actually, he does have quite a few Spore Crawlers. So, I think omegaman really going to have to start building up these siege tanks if he wants a chance to come back in this game. Does have siege mode research, so he can actually bring these, the siege tank and maybe place it right around here to start dealing a lot of damage to the base of TeamKiller. But I don't actually like this decision to sacrifice these Banshees to go in and try and kill off the Spore Crawlers. He does kill quite a few of them off, but a lot of his Banshees have actually ended up dying as a result. TeamKiller finally starting to get up a couple of more mining bases, but it looks like finally omegaman has worked his way through those Spore Crawlers, creating a little bit of an angle that he can start to pick off a couple of these drones, and more importantly, the hatchery. This hatchery is the only mining expansion for TeamKiller right now, but oh, it looks like that Spore Crawler is going to be able to do a little bit more damage. Might be able to chase off these Banshees, but no, with that 4th Banshee coming back in, he will be able to pick off this other Spore Crawler, and omegaman actually doing a good job pulling back the weakened Banshee to make sure that this new health Banshee will be able to tank out this Spore Crawler damage, but actually ends up losing it anyways. A little bit sad, but he will have the opportunity to snipe off this expansion. Now with only 6 drones remaining, he does have a couple of drones over here, and just I guess these drones over here will be able to try and make a little bit of a comeback. But I think with these 2 Banshees guarding off this, oh, that drone is so dead, trying to escape to his homeland, not really making it there as he's greeted by a siege tank and 2 Banshees. Now actually, ooh, these Banshees, losing quite a few Banshees very unnecessarily, but he will be able to pick off all of these Spore Crawlers, and there are still 3 Spore Crawlers up here with another spawning pool being produced. Actually, I think an evolution chamber might be a little bit more beneficial at this point. And omegaman throwing down the scan, seeing that there is in fact still that hatchery down over there. He should know about this expansion as well, so I would like to see him bring his Banshees or at least his tanks over to pick that off, and looks like he is in fact going to do that. So that's going to put him in a huge lead of a position as these 5 Banshees and this SCV, this hero SCV, down over here first is actually going to be screaming at these Banshees saying, hey, you know what, that was a kill steal. Oh no, but you know what, the SCV actually doesn't matter. He's not really going to get the chance to scream with these Banshees. These Banshees able to fly away from those broodlings, but that poor SCV just saying, you know what, I'm going to get the kill. I'm going to actually get the kill before the oh no, there's broodling, ends up dying, sadly. Now it looks like this SCV wants to maybe throw out an expansion sometime soon, but he's not going to be able to do that until the creep rescinds. Now omegaman does know that there is in fact this one remaining expansion for TeamKiller. I would like to see him move out with these siege tanks that he does have over here, positioned on the high ground. But looks like for now he's actually just going to play a little bit more passively, build up a few more Banshees. But right now we can see over here, he knows that this expansion exists, and honestly, he could actually just come over here and kill it off and pretty much win the game with the remainder of this evolution chamber over here. But I guess for now, he's going to go ahead and just play it a little bit safe and does not know if there are any additional expansions, but he will be able to pick off this evolution chamber if he remember. There we go. Now starting to pick off that evolution chamber that will actually stop the production of additional Spore Crawlers until another evolution chamber is in fact produced. So we do see a lair coming, so interesting play. Maybe hoping that he can get out a Spire in time, but he is going to need more than just this one gas geyser. He will have enough when this lair finally completes in just a couple of seconds to throw down that Spire, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get those out in time, as, oh, actually a Hydralisk Den, a very interesting choice. I feel like a Spire might be a little bit more beneficial at this point in time, as he knows his opponent is only really producing Banshees and a couple of Siege Tanks, and neither of those can really attack up. So I think a Spire would have been maybe the better choice, but a Hydralisk Den will be able to do a little bit of damage to these Banshees. But it looks like the Banshees finally deciding, hey, we know we have a good flock of ourselves. Let's go ahead and pick off this annoying Zerg pest and, you know, secure this win for Team Terran. Go team. And, you know, I think this one right here is probably a little bit sad, kind of saying, hey, I really hope you guys decide to, you know, take all of the damage for me. And actually, these Banshees are going to be able to do a good amount of damage. Would maybe be a little bit more beneficial to start picking off these Spore Crawlers, as these Hydralisks are now finally out there, are going to be able to do a little bit of good damage to these Banshees, but these Banshees on hold position right over here are going to be able to pick out the spawning pool. That's going to stop a little bit of tech and the production of, I guess, additional queens, which unfortunately for TeamKiller not really producing anyways, but there goes the GG, and that's actually going to end this game. So nice play from omegaman.